Now, before we go on to the properties and the characteristics of ionic compounds, there is a small activity given in the textbook, which we are going to quickly discuss it. And in this activity, they have asked you to take a few samples of ionic compounds, like sodium chloride, that is common salt, potassium iodide, that is Ki, and barium chloride, that is BaCl2. So all these salts you have to take, and you have to take small quantity of these salts in a spatula, and you have to heat it over a flame, and you have to draw the conclusions. Now, just now we have studied that ionic compounds have got very high melting point due to very strong electrostatic forces of attraction. And all these samples which have been given to us are all ionic compounds. That is, they are formed between metals and non-metals. NaCl, Ki, that is potassium iodide. Potassium is a metal, iodine is a non-metal, and barium chloride. Barium is a metal and chlorine is a non-metal. So if we are going to take a small sample and heat it, we will find that they do not melt easily because they have got very, very high melting points. So this is one observation that you will see, that is directly when you are heating it over a flame, it does not melt easily. So they have that, you conclude that they have got very high melting points. And we have just now seen the melting point of sodium chloride, which is 801 degree Celsius. In the next activity, you have to take a trough, and in this trough or a beaker, you have taken salt solution. Now, one by one, you have to take all the three solutions. First, say suppose we start with sodium chloride solution, and you have aqueous solution has been prepared here. Then there are two carbon electrodes. They are made out of graphite. So graphite electrodes are used for conduction of electricity. We have seen that graphite, which is an allotrope of carbon, it's a good conductor of electricity. So we have taken two graphite rods. They are connected to a cell or a battery. A bulb has been given and a key. So what do you observe when you press the key? When you press the key, the circuit is complete, and if the current is flowing, in that case the bulb will glow. If the current is not flowing, then the bulb will not glow. In case of NaCl, we find that the bulb glows. Now, why does the bulb glow? Where is the electric current coming from? So, when you pass electric current, the sodium chloride that is present in this solution undergoes ionization. That is, it forms ions, or it undergoes dissociation, we can say, because ions are already present in NaCl. So it just dissociates, it just separates from one another. So dissociation process takes place over here, and sodium ions being positively charged will move towards the negatively charged electrode. This is the negatively charged electrode because here you can see the negative sign. Negative electrode is this. So sodium ions will go to the negatively charged electrode, and chloride ions being negatively charged will go towards the positively charged electrode. You can see that this electrode is positively charged. So it is due to the movement of ions towards the respective electrodes which constitutes the flow of electric current in this case. When we study electric current, it is on account of the flow of electrons, that is through metals. But here we are talking about solution. Here we have an aqueous solution of sodium chloride. So where is the electric current coming from? Due to the dissociation of sodium chloride which takes place. Sodium ions, chloride ions, they start moving towards respective electrodes, and that constitutes the flow of electric current over here. That is why we can even say that NaCl is an electrolyte. Electrolyte are solutions which allow electric current to flow through them. Same experiment if you are going to repeat with potassium iodide and barium chloride, the bulb will glow, and that indicates that they are also electrolytes, and they also ionize or they dissociate, and the movement of ions starts taking place towards the respective electrodes. But if the same experiment is conducted using sugar solution or glycerine, you will not find that the bulb will glow. You will find that the bulb does not glow. Why does the bulb not glow in case of sugar solution or glycerine? Because there is no ionization. They are organic compounds and they do not ionize. Since there are no ions, in that case, there is no flow of electric current. So this is a small activity, and in that case, sugar and glycerine will be called as non-electrolytes. So ionic compounds are electrolytes. They conduct electricity when dissolved in water. So this two activities will help us to come to two properties that we are going to study in the next slide. We are going to study that, and now we'll go on to the properties. Coming to the general properties of ionic compounds, it's a sort of revision that we are going to do because we have mostly discussed the properties. The first one, the attractive force between positively and negatively charged ions is strong. Therefore, the ionic compounds exist in solid state and are hard. The ionic compounds are brittle and can be broken into pieces by applying pressure. The intermolecular force of attraction is high in ionic compounds and large energy is required to overcome it. Therefore, the melting and boiling points of ionic compounds are high. So all this we have come across, and so we will not discuss them in detail. Coming to the fourth point, ionic compounds are water soluble, and it is because water molecules orient in a particular manner around the ions separated by dissociation process. So as I said that in the activity, when we pass electric current, sodium chloride dissociates. Dissociation is a process of separation of ions. The ionic compounds, the ions are already present. The ions are already present in them. They are already in the ionic state. We write it as Na plus and Cl minus. So it's just the separation of these ions is going to take place, and so it is called dissociation. As a result of this, new force of attraction is established between ion and the surrounding water molecules. So when any ionic compound is added to water, a new bond between water molecules and the ions is formed, and that results in the formation of dissolving that ionic compound in water. Replacing the original intermolecular attraction, and aqueous solutions of ionic compounds are formed. Ionic compounds are, however, insoluble in solvents like kerosene and petrol. We can even say that they are insoluble in organic compounds like kerosene and petrol. They are organic because they are carbon based. This is because, unlike water, a new attractive force cannot be established in these solvents. So in organic compounds, the new force that needs to be formed in order to dissolve any substance is not formed, and hence we find that these ionic compounds are insoluble in organic compounds like kerosene and petrol, but they are soluble in water. One more property needs to be understood, and for that we will go to the next slide. Coming to the last point of the characteristic of the properties of ionic compounds. The ionic compounds cannot conduct electricity when in solid state. In this state, the ions cannot leave their places. So this is very important point, that ionic compounds cannot conduct electricity in solid state. Because in solid state, though ions are present, but they do not separate, and unless the movement of ion takes place, there will be no flow of electric current. So in solid state, they are in the ionic state, but the ions are not capable of moving. They cannot leave their places, and hence they cannot conduct electricity in solid state. However, in fused or molten state, they can conduct electricity, as in this state the ions are mobile. So in fused or molten, it is a stage that is somewhere between solid and liquid. So the stage between solid and liquid is called as fused state or molten state, and in this state it can conduct electricity, because now in this state the ions can become mobile, they can move. The aqueous solutions of ionic compounds conduct electricity as they contain the dissociated ions. We have already seen the activity, and in that we know that how they dissociate when dissolved in water, and they can easily conduct electricity. On passing current through the solution, the ions move to the oppositely charged electrodes. Due to the electrical conductivity, in fused and dissolved state, the ionic compounds are called electrolytes. So those substances which can conduct electricity when dissolved in water or in fused or molten state, they are called as electrolytes. Here the table has been provided to you, in which a list of ionic compounds have been given. Their melting and boiling points have also been given, and that indicates that they have got very high melting and boiling points, except water, which is non-ionic because it's the bond between hydrogen and oxygen in water is a covalent bond, and so we find that the melting point and boiling points are lesser as compared to the ionic compounds. So with this, we come to the end of the ionic compounds. In the next topic, we will be learning about metallurgy, the extraction of metals in their pure state, what are the various methods, how various metals of various reactivities can be extracted. So let's study metallurgy.